You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Best Comics of the Week show, something that I had restarted on my own, but lo and behold, Gray is here to join me this week, maybe because he got sick from eating tuna fish for breakfast, but I'm not sure. We'll have to find out. Gray, what up?
How's it going, Jim? And that tuna, I will tell you, that tuna was delicious.
Yes, you keep saying that. I still am weirded out by that whole thing of tuna fish. I actually was talking to Sully about it, and he right away goes with, well, you know, a sashimi type. I'm like, no. This was tuna salad, this thing. And you said that. I've been talking about it.
I would never have sashimi for breakfast.
Everything that we ended up, that's where you draw the line.
Yeah.
Sashimi. Oh, my goodness. But here we are for the best of, and I'm glad that you joined me because there's one book that everybody but me likes. So we can put it on the list. We'll see what that is. But we're going to do this. We go through our favorite books this week from DC, Marvel, and Indie Deal. And in the meantime, we always say that if you have a favorite that we might have missed, it doesn't mean that we didn't like it. It means that maybe we didn't like it. Gray, he's, getting a little edgy in his old age, I think. But it's also that it also means that maybe we didn't read it or we weren't aware of it and things like that. So if you have a favorite, please let us know. While we're doing this, we are streaming it live on YouTube, which we'll be doing. And Greg won't be able to join me every week because of the timing. You just have a holiday in Japan on a Monday morning.
I'm normally at work at this time. It's 8:05 a.m., by the way, folks, in Monday morning here in Japan, in Hinokuni.
Yeah, you're a time traveler. But yeah, so usually, but if you can join me at points, there's tons of holidays in Japan, festivals, holidays, then hopefully you'll be able to join me at points and even having some other guests as well. But I'll probably be doing it solo a lot as well. But with that, I don't read every single book. There's a lot of times where I miss some books, or there's books where, say, it's at issue number 4, and, I haven't read the others, and then somebody mentions, and I will go back and read some things. But me and Gray, when we did this before, we did end up kind of picking up a bunch of books that we hadn't been reading and became some of our favorite books of the year. So that is one of the cool things about this whole deal. And like I said, we are streaming this live as we go. It'll be every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but also in a podcast form as well. So here we are, and we're going to start with DC, as we always do. And there was a bit of a shock for me, especially. But you could start off, Gray, because I have a couple other DC books that I liked, but you liked this one in particular. So let everybody know what it is.
Okay, oh my goodness, it's me, is it?
Yes,
okay, here we go. DC had Resurrection Man, Quantum Karma, issue 1. Of course, written by Ram V. Just let me bring up the
the art by Anand RK, which
I just wanted you to say that because
really.
I can't pronounce it. Anand Radhakrishnan.
Yeah. I like that he's just say RK because he knows nobody will get it. So I even say with Ram V, obviously Ram V's last name is not V, but you end up having these initial guys here, and then Butch Geist. But you keep going and you talk about it for a bit.
Well, it was actually, Jane, this is interesting. It was people in the Slack who were shouting this out because I was going to read it, but it wasn't like my priority. And then I heard it's really, really good. Not just from you, by the way, but from quite a few other people. Yeah. So that's what got me to check it out.
Yeah.
But I was a little bit put off by this main cover. No offense to the main cover artist. I think it's Jeff Decal. I went for the Dan Panosian variant, which is an awesome cover. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yeah, it is. It isn't a great cover, is it?
It's weird. There's something off about it.
It is weird. I don't know. It almost I don't want to ever say like it looks AI because then people will lose their mind. But it's not real detail. Yeah, really, exactly. It's not real detail, though.
How dare you?
And it just, I don't know. It didn't get me excited to jump in the book. There is a cover this week that I will point out that was incredible that I loved. It's a book that me and you both like. But this Resurrection Man, though, we had our Patreon spotlight. And I'm not a huge fan of Ram V. I don't know if you know that, Gray, but I'm not a huge fan. But I like this. I like the beginning of New Gods as well. And then, I don't know, the lore is starting to wear on me a bit. I hope that we get back to just the main story in that. But this one, Resurrection Man, and being Black Label, I think that it fits Ram V pretty well. He's able to do whatever he wants, and he can mess around with things. But I thought it was pretty good. But you talk about it a little more.
Well, it's like it's a character I've never read before, so that was where that caught my interest. It's about Mitch Shelley, who is the Resurrection Man, and apparently, he lives or he has lived many, many lives before. But what is his superpower, Jim? What happens is when he dies, he comes back to life with a superpower based on how he was killed. Is that right? I've got that right there.
Yeah. They even mentioned at the beginning, and I love that Butch Guy's first page where you end up having
mate,
old
It's
school,
one of the best pages in the book.
Yeah, like a DC's Who's Who. And yeah, if he falls out of a plane and dies, he ends up coming back with flight power. If he gets burned, he comes back with the firepower. And I thought it's a really clever thing. And again, I think Ram V, two things. He's very smart, luscious hair. Those are the two things.
Beautiful, luscious locks.
This head of
what
hair
shampoo
that he has. Oh my goodness! But he's a smart guy, and I think he does.
You'll never
a
let
clever
that go,
thing.
will you?
Oh
That's
no!
classic.
Every time
if you
I
ever
see
listen
him,
to your reviews, it's like, oh my god, he's on about me hair again.
oh, he's
Jeez.
probably like, boy, this guy, really wants this luscious hair of mine. Maybe he'll send me a lock of hair. It'll be
Must
like
be
back
bald.
in the day. Yeah, I'm not, but I wish I had that luscious hair though. And
Me
I'm
too.
never allowed. I used to have longer hair in college, but I'm not allowed to have long hair anymore. My wife would always yell at me. But you end up where, if me and you, and the way that I could explain this the best for people is the idea that if me and you started a Resurrection Man, they wanted us to do Resurrection Man. I think that we would start out by starting to think, oh, what are some cool things that he could die? Like, oh my God, he gets hit by lightning, so then he has lightning powers. And it's like this big, bombastic thing. But Ram V does this deal of, hey, what if he died from old age? And that means that he kind of controls time because time ended up killing him. And that's something that I thought was really, really clever. In the play of it, though, it's even seemingly new to him. Obviously, he doesn't seem to know what's going on. The part where you end up going to the clockwork, like almost like the end of time type deal, that universal clock, that got a little bit wonky for me. Not wonky, but I'm like, all right, there's the Ram V part. Makes sense.
Here we go, Jim. Here we go. That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah. Oh, I did too. And what it did remind me of, if people were reading it, it reminded me of Al Ewing's Venom, that God Garden stuff and the end of time. Like that stuff always throws me. But in the meantime, it was a really cool deal. And then you go back to 1945 and a bit of, World War II flashback where you set up the villain, it seems, of this series, of this miniseries deal, where this guy, this commandant who runs the internment camp, that I give Ram V a lot of credit. He just takes you to a place. He's not over explaining some stuff. Sometimes he gets real fancy, but he just plops you down. The fancy part was that clockwork part where I was like, oh my goodness. But when he's in the internment camp, it's very quick, but it felt to me like a horror anthology book. It felt to me like something like a Silver Coin or whatever that one anthology was. But, jumping back and even playing off like it feels like Quantum Leap, maybe, where you go back and fix it. So I really thought that was really, really cool, the way that it was spelled out. And the way that it turned out, where this internment camp commandant ends up, and he has his own backstory that he goes through. I love he's waxing poetic about his youth to the one courier. He's like, sir, the war is over. Let me tell you about my missing lung as a youth. I'm like, whatever, buddy. But yeah, you get that play, and at the end you see that because, spoiler, he ended up eating, and not in a sexy way, Resurrection Man Mitch. And it seems like he might have gotten his, powers, or at least some of them. I don't think he's fully, a Resurrection Man, but because he consumed those, something in his body was able to react to that. And now he cannot die, or he's going to be immortal. We'll have to see how the play is. But I said in the spotlight, it reminded me of Woodrue in the Swamp Thing book, a guy who is desperately trying to get that kind of deal, not quite in. And the play will be, I think, like you're a tainted version of it. Taint, I said. And the idea of all that going on. And that really reminded me of Woodrue. So, with all
I just
that,
wanted
I
you
really
to
like
hear,
that.
wanted to hear you say the name, Jim, of his, his The
Yeah.
sadistic World War II internment camp commander. What's his name
Yeah,
again?
I can
Yasha Dokudo.
Russia, yeah. It just rolls off your
It
tongue.
rolls
It
off the
does.
tongue, doesn't it? I
Oh my
don't know.
goodness.
Does that even come up in the issue? Because I'm just reading that off the
Yeah,
solicit.
yeah. I think they say it like once or twice, but I was like, "Whoo, wait, I can't pronounce that."
Woo.
So yeah, I'm like, I'm not gonna do that.
And by the way, Jim, while I've got you, like, I wanted to ask you about the art because I know you always say you're not really a big art guy, or that's not the main deal with you. But what did you think of this? The art in this?
It was okay. I liked that first page a lot more. That
First
first
page
page
is
was
awesome, I know,
incredible. The rest, I kind of had almost like what you're saying, the feeling of the art on the cover, where I was like, okay, it's okay. I don't
I
think
think it's much better than the art on the cover,
well,
but it's
it
a very
is, but
Ram V book art style,
yeah,
if you get what I mean, isn't
yeah, I
it? It's
didn't
like one
love
of
it.
his
Yeah,
image or his indie ones.
when I end up, and I think that they have worked together in early days of Ram V, and the thing with me is if I was going to suggest, well, we are suggesting it. I'm suggesting it. I'm not really going to bring up the idea of, hey, the art was great or whatever. It's what it is. I think it tells the story well enough, but it wasn't like my favorite art even this week, but it was okay.
I'm just
It's
checking the
okay.
chat. I can't quite see it, but I'm wondering, is it the same artist who he worked on with Rare Flavors, which I know
I don't
Fearmonk
think it
is a big
was.
fan of that.
Yeah, I know that
Okay.
he was saying that. I think it might have been, maybe it was. I can't say yes or no, but I remember hearing it was somebody who was early on artist with Ram V and some of his indie stuff when he first got started, but it might be. But yeah, I didn't love the art, but I didn't think it detracted from the story. But I'm not going to say to somebody, oh my God, you got to read this because of the art. I think it's because of the story. And if
Okay, yeah.
you know what I mean? And most people, I think, would say, oh, I don't know Resurrection Man. You don't really, that first page tells you exactly what you want to know. And again, I give Ram V credit. The idea where he could have went through that nonsense for 2 issues sometimes, but I think he wants to get right to the story. So you have that who's who type page. Then it like melds into the story where the little girl's reading that, and you have that first part. And there's 3 parts to the story. The first part is
Mm.
kind of heartbreaking with the family, and he has grown old, but he had decided to just stop being Resurrection Man. That's why he dies of old age. So yeah, I liked it. It was one of my favorite issues of the week. Not my favorite. We'll talk about our favorite. I wouldn't have even read it if it wasn't for you. So I have to end up giving you a lot of props there. And I
Me?
haven't
Really?
read, yeah, Fear Monarch. I never read Rare Flavors. I did read Layla Starr that I really, really enjoyed. I think that is a really, really good book. But I'm going to stay here on DC because that was your DC book. And DC had a weird week, right? There was like
There was a
weird,
few like close for me,
odd
Jim.
ones.
Like we both enjoyed Absolute Superman, didn't we? But I
Yeah,
didn't give it an 8. And this just to let people know, this has got to be a pretty much an 8 or higher,
yeah,
hasn't it? 8 out
we
of 10
go
or
with
higher
that.
to get on the best.
Yep. So my next one is something that barely made the cut. It's JSA number 6, written by Jeff Lemire, art by Diego Orletegui, and it is a book that I love Jeff Lemire. But going forward with the series, it's been very scattered. There's been a lot going on. There's a lot of books at DC like this, the Justice League Unlimited. That was another one that's been a bit too many characters, too scattered. This issue, for the end of this kind of story, this arc, Jeff Lemire does kind of pull it back, and he gives you 2 Wildcat stories. One is Ted Grant Wildcat, and he's protecting Khalid, who is, Dr. Fate, where he's trying to protect the Tower of Fate. They're being attacked by demons. And then the other deal, you end up getting Yolanda Montez, who is the new Wildcat, kind of new. It's kind of been a while. But you end up with her, with Jade, going off to try to find Dr. Midnight, where you already had Jesse Quick and Johnny Sorrow / Obsidian. They went off to find it. When they go and find where she was, or they think she was, they think that she has been murdered by this Cobra. Cobra Colt. Cobra makes me laugh. Cobra
Cobra Kai.
at DC, because they're usually just like schmucks. And this one poor soldier, he's like, I didn't even know that room was there. He's like all up in arms, and Yolanda Montez kills him, actually murders him, slashes his throat, which is here. You can't. Even Jade says at one point, we're the JSA, we don't kill anybody. So while
You
that's
don't
going
murder
on,
people. What are you
yeah,
doing?
and so with that going on, you have Ted who's protecting Khalid, but that's the problem. I'm not going to spoil things, but he kind of just says, okay, everybody fight me, while, Khalid ends up trying to figure out and tries to protect the Tower of Fate. But by the end, the Injustice Society with Wotan and all those, what is it, Dr. Elemental, and all those other villains that we ended up having in those Golden Age books that we had, like the Alan Scott and the Jay Garrick and the Sandman deal. All the big thing of the Injustice Society, they're winning and winning easily. Like they're ready to just destroy everything. So that's the big play. But I
I
like
liked
that
it,
there was
Jim,
more
when we saw
focus.
the fog from the Sandman Mystery
Yeah,
Theater, that old
the
series.
fog.
Oh, the fog's popping up. What's going on here?
Yeah,
Thought he was dead.
I always called him the Mad Gasser. I did like I
Thought
always
that was
thought of
Harley
him as
Quinn.
just him. Yeah, really, it was. Oh my goodness, there, Gray. Yeah, I'm not exactly down with the Mad Gas or even Dr. Elemental on those, but it's
No.
okay. They're
It's
there.
good to see them, but
They're
wait,
doing
I
their
read it, by
deal.
the way. I did enjoy it, but I'm kind of lost in this series because I've not got the lore, the background, but
Yeah,
I was a bit confused about what was going on, but it looks awesome.
yeah,
It looks
and
beautiful.
it did look great. And I think that this was the issue that finally it's starting to tighten up. It's starting to give a focus to the story, and I really liked it. And there's a big point of it that I don't want to spoil, that most people would already know about the deal. But yeah, with all of that, I did like it. And I suggest if you have been, enjoying it, but you were like, yeah, I'll get back to it when it gets more focused. I think that we're starting with that. And again, like I said, a big moment. But now, one of my big books of the week that I will mention very quickly, but it is Teen Titans Go #2. It's a book that I kind of joked about reviewing on the podcast, the first issue, but I did like it. And I
You
did,
really enjoyed it, didn't you? Yeah,
yeah.
you were saying in your review, it was a lot of fun. It was great.
Yeah, and the joke was just that Eric would have never reviewed it with me. That's the joke, that, oh, he's gone. Now
Okay.
I can finally get to the Teen Titans Go. It just happened to be starting, so I went. And this issue, it's good. If you end up having any kids or anybody you know, or if you do like Teen Titans Go yourself, it really gives you the cartoon. And it looks great. It is written by Matthew Cody, art by Eric Owen, and it's only $2.99. So you get it. And I said, even in my review on the podcast this week, that something like this, if you get something like this for like a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, and they're reading it, you usually end up where a kid will like reread something like 1,000,000 times like this. So I think you will get the money's worth, even at $2.99. I mean, it's not much, but it's Robin in like a hard-boiled detective case to try to figure out where Cyborg went, because he never showed up for their snacks and funds meeting where they decide what they're going to end up getting snacks. And then you end up having Starfire, Raven, and Beast Boy all interrogated of where he went. And they have their goofy stories of what happened. And then the big joke is that at the end, Raven actually knew exactly where he went, but she was asked last. So they're like, why didn't you tell us before? And she's like, well, I was last. And it's fun. Beast Boy ends up, he fell asleep. They were watching, what is it, Rashomon? The samurai classic, the what's it
Oh
called?
yeah, it's the awesome tale of a murder mystery,
Yep.
which is told from 3 or 4 different viewpoints.
That's what they were
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
at movie night. That's one
No
of
way.
Yeah, it's one of Raven's favorite movies. So it was her pick, and everybody was falling asleep because Beast Boy even says, Beast Boy's like, it's not only in black and white, but I got to read it. And she's like, that's Japanese, it's subtitles. And he's like, I don't like. He fell asleep. He has a dream that he's in his underwear in front of the Justice League and all the villains. It's just classic deal. But they do go through the idea of bashing Raven for her pick of movies. And then at the end, she's like, yep, we were watching that awesome movie that everybody loves. So it's a funny little play. But the Matthew Cody, who writes it, gets the voices really well. Gets them really well, especially Starfire. Again, Starfire gets chosen first, and she says, oh, I'm chosen the first, because everything in that cartoon, she always says the something. It's always added in. I thought it was good. But again, it's more for the little kids in your life, but I still did enjoy it and was actually really good. So we're going to move on
So you're
now.
saying $2.99, Jim? $2.99. I know that's a great price, and it's also the price of the Spawn Universe books. But sadly, how long is that going to last?
Yeah, no,
Doesn't look
not
like it's going to
long.
last very long, does it anymore?
No, it looks like in the next month or so. I think it's July is when those change.
Sorry about that. Were you taking a bite on your
Yeah, I was.
potato?
I had my potato. I was trying to eat. I'm like Fatal J. I'm eating a burrito. I actually have a potato. The thing with Spawn books too, I didn't realize. Like I know that the Spawn books and Todd McFarlane, it's holding the line at $2.99 deal, but eventually it's got to go up, right? But I didn't
Yeah.
know that it's actually up to the individual writers, the creative teams, to set the price at Image. You're allowed to set your own price there. That's why it was always different. And the idea of McFarlane's books going
That's
up.
Todd McFarlane, isn't it? That's
Yeah,
down to him then.
yeah,
Respect
and
to
he
him for
has
doing
kept that.
that.
And he said that he was doing it because people had supported him so well. So the idea, some people were saying, "Oh my God," because then the $4.99 books will go to $5. They don't know. It's really up to the creatives. But I did get word from my man who usually has his ear at the pulse of the streets here. And supposedly there's going to be an announcement coming up soon that the DC and Marvel books will both be going up as well. And they'll probably all be going up $1 each, because that's more, it seems, of the tariffs and the idea of a lot of the paper and some of the printing is not done here. Some things in Canada, some things elsewhere. So we might end up having a price hike on a bunch of these books, which is not great. Especially
Also
when
books from Titan, which come from the UK, like Conan the Barbarian, that
and
kind of thing. They're going to be going up
it's
as
going to
well.
be tough. And
Yeah.
again, it's like you might get some of the books like Titan. I don't know where they get they may get their paper, everything's just all over the place. So we're going to be having some problems. And again, it sucks because it's not just comic books that'll go up, but them going up just makes it even worse when you're trying to, look at your budget and trying to make things and stretch things. I mean,
Yeah,
and just don't eat any cheese omelets. I'm telling you, the other day,
forget
I
about
told
your
you,
tuna and
I
tuna
told-
and eggs.
I told you tuna and eggs. What are you, Rockefeller? With that, I ended up telling you at one point I was gonna get eggs to make an omelet. I'm like, what am I making? A solid gold? I don't need this. I love omelets. I love cheese omelets for breakfast. I'm like, nope.
Can you make an omelet without breaking any eggs? Though that's the question.
Yeah, and no. And Barlord is talking like some people. Barlord said he's already prepping. He's already getting ready for this increase, and he's looking at his deal and saying, I'm going to drop these $2. Now, with that, I mean, the only other thing, if you could think of a positive spin on that, is that you would hope that the companies and the creators would think, okay, people are going to narrow some things down. I better hit hard. I better write some. But they don't think of that. And really, if they did, I'd get mad because why aren't they doing it anyway? But we'll see.
Well, that's it. And also, why not reduce your number of titles that you're releasing?
Yeah.
Marvel looking at you big
Marvel
time.
has
Mamma mia.
So many, Mamma Mia. It's a
ridiculous.
lot of the books. I can't believe I ate it all. You end up with Marvel. I don't. There's so many books, and seriously, I think that they have at this point 17 Deadpool Wolverine team up books. I swear to God, every time I look at Marvel and they
At
send the
least.
deal, I'm like, I don't know which is which. And when we do get the review copies, because we're fancy, when they come in, they're really poorly designated, the books. I've talked
They
about
are.
this before.
They
The
are.
file names are ridiculously bad. So all I see is Wolv, WOLV, Dead, or Deadpool or Pool. And I'm like, it doesn't tell me which one is which. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not reading any of this. I've gotten to the point where if I see Wolverine and Deadpool in the title, I'm like, nope, I'm passing you by, even though I did kind of like the Ben Percy deal last week. But I don't even know which is which or what is what. And it's driving me nuts. But we're going to go to Marvel. And this is where we're going to get in an argument here, Gray. I don't like to argue it with you.
I thought you were going to say you're going to get fancy.
No,
we're gonna
I'm
get
fancy.
antagonistic, are we,
Yeah,
Jim?
no, I won't. But
Next thing you'll be calling me a skinflint.
well,
Jesus.
I don't want to call you. I'm a skinflint. I didn't get those eggs. I don't want to be a skinflint. When you said that in the Absolute, maybe was it the Absolute or was it in the Marvel show? I can't even remember now.
Yeah, it was
because
the
we talked-
Absolute. Yeah.
it's a
I don't know where it came
skinflint.
from.
I said I
don't
don't know. I have not heard the term skinflint in
I've
so
been reading
long.
a bit
it
of Charles
made me laugh.
Dickens recently. Maybe it was for that. Yeah.
Maybe it was. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so we're going to move on to Marvel. And the first book, I'm letting you take over because lo and behold, it's a book that everybody but me loved. Everybody I talked to, they think this thing is the cat's pajamas. You skinflint, and I end up where I didn't like it at all. Like I'm
I
telling
can't
you,
believe it,
not
Jim.
even
Really?
close. This isn't even me saying I think that this was close. I hated it, but everybody loved it. Tell them what it is.
Okay, let's get into it. It is Daredevil, Cold Day in Hell, #1,
How
written by
dare
Charles
you?
Soule, art by Steve McNiven, and he does the colouring in this first issue as well, by the way.
Mhm.
Letters Clayton Cowles. The editor, it says, in chief is C.B. Cebulski, or is it like Toshiro Mifune? I can't
Yeah,
remember his name.
exactly. He
Anyway.
part of him this week has a holiday, I hear.
Oh, really?
Well, he's half
There you
Japanese, is
go.
what he thinks. But you tell me why you liked it.
The only thing that could put people off is it's 6.99, but it is like oversized. It's 40 pages. It looks gorgeous. I've not seen a physical copy, Jim, so I don't know if it's like a prestige format, anything like that. We'll have to ask the chat for that. But
It's $7. I mean,
I know it's seven
yeah,
bucks.
it's got to
I
be
hope
it.
it's a fancy. Is it like the DC Black Label? Is it their version of that? I've no idea, or is it just like a regular floppy?
Yeah, I would think that it's got to be a little bit extra. A little bit like cardstock deal and all that stuff going on. It better be
Yeah,
for the
it better
crap.
be.
It better be for that story that you get, right? You know what I'm saying?
It's a good story. What are you talking about? To be fair, like I've seen the few criticisms I've seen for it is like, oh, it's doing the old man, Wolverine or
That's
the
my
old man
biggest
Logan
criticism.
and the
That's yeah.
dystopian story yet again. Haven't we had that before? But if it's done well, what's wrong with that? And I think it's done really well.
Well, first off, when I opened it up, and I did say when I reviewed it on the podcast that right away I'm like, what is this, Spider-Man Reign 3? Because that's what it reminded me immediately.
It does have
And
a similar look, doesn't it? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and here's the thing. Do you like Steve McNiven? Steve McNiven, a big, deal for you? Are you
I
a
do.
fan? Okay,
I
that's what I'm
do.
saying. I'm not, but I'm not saying that I don't like his art. I'm just saying that I really it makes me feel I feel like I'm a dick either way. I don't care. I like when there people said to me, "Oh my God, how can you hate it? It's Steve McNiven," and I'm like, I don't care if it's Mario Lemieux. I didn't really like it, and I don't have a connection. That's the problem. It's like what people say. Like a newer reader might end up saying, "Oh my God, how can you say that you like John Romita Jr. on Spider-Man or when he was at DC?" And then you're like, "Well, I liked him all this deal. I don't really have a Steve McNiven connection." So when I opened
I
it
don't have a
up,
big history of him either. I've not like seen or I can't remember what he's done before that much, but it was just the way he's done this issue, the way it's drawn, the coloring in it. I think you can see serious like craftsmanship. You can see the love in it, Jim. You know what I mean? You
mm.
can see it's taken ages. And
Well,
our
the book
favorite,
the
our
book's from
favorite bloody editor,
2019.
Nick Lowe, by the way, I forgot to mention,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
behind this. He was talking about it at the end of the book, saying this has been going on since 2019. This
yeah.
project.
Now,
There you go.
here's what I needed to hear in that little thing at the end, and I did read the thing at the end where they say, "Oh, this has been going on since 2019." Now, is it that they've been working on it since 2019, or it was done around then and it was sitting around, and then they're like, "Hey, the Daredevil show's out. Let's throw it out." I
Yeah,
don't know.
that wasn't clear, but
And
it could be that, couldn't it? Yeah.
I'm telling you, maybe I have to reread it, and once the next issue comes in, maybe I'll get a little more excited about it. But when I opened it up, I did think of Spider-Man Reign right away, but I also again thought, like you said, oh, another one of these old man, books, and you're playing that game of okay, there was a war. It looks like there was an atomic war. There's some fallout you end up seeing, and you get those through signs, billboards, and some of the dialogue. There's certainly a foreign entity that is, kind of infiltrating the US at this point, terrorist group, whatever it might be, that's blowing up things. And it was weird when you start out that Matt doesn't have his powers. And
I
it's
know
that
that's what I thought was cool about it.
yeah,
He's lost his powers somehow.
it's
Yeah, so that
it's
was interesting.
it's the weird deal of when they do that, and I'm like, okay, I know that they were augmented, by I like to still call it the ooze, like the turtles, since that was kind of based on that. But and I mean the turtles were based on almost having the same accident as Daredevil. But the idea where I thought that he'd still have some of the idea of the deal because he had it for so long, and it was more reacting to him being blind. But even so, they end up where
Well, he
this,
does still have some powers because at that
yeah, he
moment where he
does that
gets
weird,
pushed down
yeah.
the subway steps, he does that really cool
Yeah,
old man flip, and doesn't like break his neck
yeah.
somehow.
You
That
say
was
that. I kind of wanted that to show like the after image thing of him leaping around and stuff like that they kind of do a little later. But yeah, those guys were jerks. Also, when you're a blind guy in New York City, post-apocalyptic New York City, and somebody's like, "Hey, man, give me money to eat," don't just pull out a wad of cash and go,
Yeah,
"Take
don't
what
pull
you
out
need." He basically does the bowl of candy on Halloween.
5
Please,
bills, oh, take what you want,
take
but
what you
please leave
want.
me a little
Yeah,
bit,
really? I'm taking it all. I mean, I'm a jerk. I'm gonna take
That was
that.
you, Jim, wasn't it? You were that guy
Exactly.
pushing him down the steps,
Yeah, and that's
running
the
off to buy
deal.
some eggs.
Fear Monarch said it is so funny that combo of the turtles, because they end up fighting the foot because Matt fights the hand. They have the big ooze stuff and all that. It's
Tell
really
it
cool,
to the
that deal.
hand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the idea where I also liked it at the beginning, because the guy on the ferry, they're on the ferry, and again, this is a big wow moment when you see it looks like maybe the Brooklyn Bridge is destroyed and all that, where the guy's like, "Hey, what do
Yeah.
you think about what's going on? What about this group?" And Matt's like, "I don't really care." What a jerk! And then once he sees that he's blind, he's like, "Whoa, man, I'm sorry." Like, what a jerk. But yeah, so this bomb goes up, this dirty bomb, and ends up, well, by the way, that was my radio name in Cleveland, Dirty Bomb. They ended up where he gets his powers back, and he goes down and he hears the stuff, and then the subway where this explosion was, and this other group, again, I can't remember the name that they said this group was, but it felt like,
The
this,
DBs.
the DBs,
You know,
yes,
Jim,
the
don't you remember the
DBs.
DBs?
The DBs. So
DBGBs.
he goes down and he finds Cap, and Cap's there pretty much holding up the entire subway and says, "Hey, take this girl. She's the big thing to do." And there's a lot going on, but you do see, R.I.P. Cap, but he looks a wreck. And then we go and we get, and I'm telling you, I think that when we did the review, I said, okay, that must be Bullseye. That's there.
That's
in the
what I
end.
thought. It
But
wasn't
it's
clear,
not
but I
really
thought it's gotta
clear,
be him.
right?
No.
But boy, he looks like crap. And then you see, holy moly, like he looks good compared to Frank Castle. Frank Castle has no arms, no legs, and is hanging on a wall. So I like to call him Art. That's my deal. And he just
God,
again,
not again.
I have to say, dead baby jokes. I got to see what's going on. And it's only, I think, 3 issues, right? The 3 oversized
It is.
issues.
Jim, it's not spelled out, is it? It's not like you don't get a big, info dump. It's, that's what I liked about it. You've got to work it out in, your head, what is going on.
You do have to work it out.
There was like a reference to, it might have been General Barton. You hear Barton, so I'm thinking like Hawkeye's got something to do with it.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
No idea who the DBs are, though.
DBs. Yeah, it's like
DBs,
the blue
meanies.
The blue meanies. That's what I thought. I was like, what
Great
the
minds
heck?
think alike.
So I ended up reading it, and I thought, okay, this book had some. I mean, it's a wow moment seeing Frank Castle with electrodes on his junk. I guess it is.
That kind of weirded me out, though. That freaked me out at the end.
It was weird. And then he's got all those like wires going. I think he was set up to be like a telephone or something. He's like, the answer, and it's on your end. I didn't know what was going on. But again, it's really going to play out to me what this next issue is. But as a number 1 issue, I just ended up, I mean, I know it's kind of generic saying it, but I did think we've had these stories, even not just the old man stuff, but even that, like, what was it called? I keep forgetting that Tom Taylor, and it was nonsense. It was delayed for a long time, like Iron Age or whatever that one was, where all of the world's crazy things went out. I forget. It was a Tom Taylor deal, but we also had that Twilight of Avengers Twilight. That was just, there are all these old things. And
it's very Dark Knight Returns, isn't it? Is
Yeah,
this
and
the
it's very
Daredevil
Dark
version of
Knight
Dark Knight Returns? Is that what they're trying to do?
Yeah, it seems. And again, I
Well, I know
see
it's
why
been done
people
before,
would
Jim,
like
but if
it.
it's done well, if it's done really well, why not? That's
Well,
what I say.
that's
Hey,
what
I'm Mr. Positive.
Well, that's what I used to say when I was in a cover band, but people would laugh at me. So, and also when I kind of, go with the Sus Records, I get it. You get a little vibe and stuff, but I don't know. Maybe later down the line, I'll like it a little more, but who knows? But I didn't love it, but it's on your list. It's on yours. But we'll go on to the next one, which is on both of our lists, which is Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu, number 7, written by Jed MacKay, art by Domenico Carbone. It says here, I didn't really, why does that name not sound what I said? Did I make you read the credits when we talked about it?
Carmine
Because,
Falcone?
yeah, because
Hey,
I'm telling you.
Domenico
Hey,
Carbone?
hey, I can't
Come
believe
on.
I ate the whole thing. So you end up with this book. I haven't been reading the Moon Knight stuff. I ended up
I
dropping
know.
it at around Blood Hunt. I ended up dropping it when he
I
died,
dropped it
all that
too.
stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, screw that.
It
And
pulled me back in, Jim, with
well,
this
yeah.
series. It pulled me back in.
Anytime though, when a book ends up like, hey, we're gonna give you a new number one with the same creative team, it always throws me. So I dropped it. But you said because we were asked if we could do some more books on our Marvel podcast, and I said okay. And you actually saw the person asking, and you jumped in before I even asked you, because I already asked you to do so much, but you ended up saying, hey, I'll do some books with you, and we ended up
Yeah.
doing All New Venom, which is not on the list, and this Moon Knight
Nope.
Fist of Khonshu. And I got in and I'm like, I'm catching up on it. I'm just reading the Fist of Khonshu stuff then. And I was enjoying it. And then we get to this issue. I'm like, holy moly, this is my favorite issue of the week of all the comics.
This is the
my
best issue
favorite
of the Fist of
issue.
Khonshu mini. Yeah, number
And
7.
it's
It's a
hilarious.
cracker.
It's so good. And it's funny. And it's an 8-ball issue. And this is the one that I said the cover is incredible. The cover is
Oh my God.
misleading. It makes the
Amazing,
cover look like
amazing.
8-ball
It's an
has
amazing variant as well by Dan Panosian.
yeah,
Really
it's
good.
so good. And you get into it, and it's just a fun issue about how do you get the eye, or how do you get Hank Pym to talk to you, because they need him to help get this alternate drug that's going to go against this glimmer drug that's on the streets. So you end up where you have 8-Ball actually say, oh man, it's a shame we're not villains. This would be great. We should have been villains. And they're like, yeah, whatever. And he doesn't get this out of his mind while they're still talking. And he's walking around and he's framing things. I said he's framing them like a director, like, okay, you could be the chalk. And that, Reese is that. And you end up having the pool party. And what it is just the stupid idea of, we're going to go and pretend to kidnap Nadia. We're going to pretend that. We're not going to really do it, but we're going to pretend she's in danger. Hank will come because we know that Hank is watching at all times and will pop up and do this. The problem is, in my mind, or not the problem, the fun thing is, they never really get any details of what they're going to do. So when they bust in, it's the pool party. 8-Ball's the leader, and all he keeps yelling is, I want the science. That's all he keeps yelling. He's nothing specific. Give me the science. And she's all weirded out. And even when they were talking, Tiger says, yeah, this might be problems, because Nadia can literally kick everybody's ass. And 8-Ball, you're going to get destroyed. And that's the big play that they have to make sure that 8-Ball does. And he does kind of get beat up a bit. But
you get the feeling like they're making it up as they go along, aren't they? Their plan is there is no plan. That's what makes it funnier. That's what makes it work.
Yeah. And so they're like doing crazy stuff, but it does get Hank's attention. He pops in, and Hank has history and a kid with Tigra, all these things going. So he sees what's going on. And he's a little mad, but he then talks to Mark, and they try to figure this stuff. But the best part for me was that you end up having 8-Ball on the side then, starts looking, said, oh, Nadia, what were you doing? Oh, I'm making this thing. And he's like, I'm a jet propulsion expert. And they start working on a thing together. And that's the key. I know that there's a lot of characters that are jokes. 8-Ball's a joke. I mean, he's a guy running around with an 8-Ball helmet on his head. But when you treat them with respect, while you're also having fun with them, I think it goes through the roof then. This is one of the things that I think that people forget when they're writing Harley. They write Harley Quinn, it's goofy, farts, this, that. And they forget how smart she is, that she is, a psychologist. She has PhDs, and you never get that side of it. And 100%, so it never really
they completely forget that, and they miss that. They miss a good chance, to bring that into the story.
Yeah.
It makes the story work even better, doesn't it? If you're
and
addressing
it could work
both
out
sides.
that way, because she can help people as well, even though she does things the wrong way or whatever. They forget about an 8-Ball. It's done well, and I keep saying, because we've talked about this a couple different places, but the idea of 8-Ball. No, what was I saying? Now I don't even know what I was going to say. Something about 8-Ball. So just the idea that they treat him with respect. I can't remember what I was going to say.
Yeah, because he's
now.
normally he's like the big goofy character. He's meant to be, isn't he? But the way that comes into it, and you have a kind of serious bonding moment almost. It's really good.
I know
really
I know what I was going to say. It's that this issue reminded me 100% of the beginning, the first volume of his Black Cat book. Jed MacKay's Black Cat, where it was Black Cat and her crew, and she cared so much about them, and it was so good, and it played out like this, that they're kind of not the greatest of character, whatever, but they were treated with respect, and they loved each other and went forward, and that's where I got from this. I thought it was really, really good. And Fear Monarch said I was 1,000% right, so I'll always mention that, and says that Jed always gets the small details, and that's why I think that you get them those get lost a bit in the big giant books that they are making him do. The Moon Knight book elevated him. So then all of a sudden, X-Men, Avengers, Blood Hunt, Event. I don't think he's quite that type of writer. I'm not saying he's not
No.
good enough. I'm saying that I don't think he's that type of writer. I think he's real good with these quirky teams and these side things and making sure that you have the space to have something like this. This is like an issue that you're not going to be able to really have in a bigger book because it has to be. And you could tell when Jed gets on, say, Avengers, or it's like everything's the end of the world all the time because that's what you have to do. It has to be huge. And I think you miss out on what he's really, really good at. And this was really good. And it's made me now, I'm going to be reading, Fist of Khonshu, that we'll be reviewing it on the show each time it comes out now because I really, really did like it. I have one last bit of Marvel that I'll get through really, really quick, but it is Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe One Last Time, #1, something I talked to Sully about this morning. It just makes that cut. I liked it, though. It's written by Cullen Bunn, art by Dalibor Talajic. It is $4.99, which actually I think it should be like a $3.99 book. Again, I just yelled about I'm tired of old man things. Well, I kind of wasn't going to read this because the Deadpool Kills whatever. There's so many of them, but this is supposedly the last one. I thought it was fun. I like the art per se, but you end up where it's Deadpool at the beginning. He's kind of down in the dumps and not feeling like Deadpool until he ends up meeting this girl, Alfie, who comes in and says, hey, I can, jump through the multiverse. We have to save it. So it has that feel too, almost like a Spider-Verse type deal, but also the multiversal things that you always get. But he's sent to kill a bunch of people and it's like, okay, I'm going to go kill Spider-Man. It happens to be the Doc Ock Superior Spider-Man. So that's fun. He gets walloped at one point, and suddenly these voices in his head come back, and he ends up going along, and he ends up going, World Breaker Hulk. He Frankencastle is in that, the Frankenstein Punisher deal. So there's these
Really?
Yeah, it's fun. But the idea looks like, in my mind, at the end, it's revealed that he's trying to save the 616, and I think it's like, save us from all these different variations of characters and these things going on, because he accidentally gets in his gauntlet that he's wearing that does the sliding. It gets broken a bit when he fights Hulk, and he ends up in the 616 that he's supposed to save, but he looks like he's ready to, kill everybody. Again, it's what it is. I did like it, though. I did like it. It just barely made it, but there's not that much to talk about, but there's some cool moments in it. But those are our Marvel books. We have one indie book, and then I do have a shout out for something I believe Fear Monarch told me to read, but you have the one indie pick, so you go through that.
This was a surprise to me, Jim, and well, it's thanks to people in the chat. It's thanks to people who have commented on videos. It is G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, Beachhead issue 1, part of the Silent Mission. So it's a silent issue.
Yeah.
It's written and drawn by Phil Hester, colors by Lee Luffridge, inks Travis Heimel. I don't know who the editor is, but hey, let's skip that. Just keep going.
Yeah.
It's I don't know that much about G.I. Joe. I've said this before, but I kind of enjoying the main, Skybound series. I'm not reading the Real American Hero one.
The Larry Hamill one.
Somebody's always like raving about that.
People love it.
It's really, really good.
Yeah, I read a couple issues at the very beginning when it came over to Skybound, and it was
Yeah.
fun. But it was one of those where I'm reading the newer one, and I just kind of lost track and fell behind. But I actually have had podcasts where I've done the G.I. Joe #21, that silent interlude by Larry Hama, and it is awesome. It is really, really, if there's a silent issue that even comes up in any sort of comics, there's going to be somebody who mentions that issue, and I guess they're doing a whole celebration of it all month, they said, in the solicit.
I think so,
that's
yeah.
cool.
I think they're talking about, is it 5, possibly 5, like paying respects to that classic issue.
Yeah.
The next one's going to be a Jinx issue, which I think is out this coming Wednesday.
Okay. Actually, I think I might have even sent you
Yeah,
something that has it in there.
guess who's not writing it, but guess who's co-writing it or co-plotting it, because it's silent again. It's our favorite Jim, Dan Waters, with
Dan
the artist
Waters
Danny.
Oh, Danny.
Don't miss it, Jim.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, sometimes, though, I love my one favorite thing that they had, and I can't remember the last one. I love when they end up announcing, hey, we're having a mostly silent issue. I'm like, really? Like, what is, like, isn't anything a mostly silent issue because you just don't have it all silent? Like, what are you being ridiculous? But you go with it and tell people why you liked it.
Okay, well, just basically from the synopsis, it's a standalone silent issue from Phil Hester, who's mostly famously known for Green Arrow. Beachhead is trapped in a demilitarized zone and he's hunted by the forces of Cobra. That's it. And he gets some help from two kids. He's very vulnerable in this, which is good to see. You know, he's not this completely overpowered
Hmm.
super fighter. And it's just so well done. But again, it is an art heavy issue without the dialogue. You know, you at times you might be a little confused of, okay, what happened there? So you reread it, you know, which makes
Hmm.
it good value for money, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man,
Are you
that's
tempted,
yeah,
Jim? Check it out. Are you into
yeah.
like silent issues
I
or not really?
I was going to. I was gonna actually read it, and I ran out of time because I ended up having as a shout out our last book. It's not quite yet a recommendation because I didn't get to it, but the whole play was they shouted us to Monkey Meat, the summer batch #2, and it's Junie Baugh who I
Ooh,
love, and Junie Baugh did that Robin
yeah.
book. And I really like Junie Baugh. So it was suggested, I believe, by Fear Monarch that I should read it. So, being the insane guy I am, I decided, okay, I will check it out. Then I decided, well, there was a series before this because I started reading it. Speaking of silent, it was a lot like I'm starting this #2. I'm like, it's very much a silent issue. I don't know what's going on. So I went back to read the first volume, the first 5 issues of Monkey Meat, got those done, then read the first issue of this one, and then we had to record. So I never got to the one issue that would have been on the best of. But I will say, I really, really liked that volume 1. I ended up going through all of that this afternoon and then ended up the first issue. It's a little bit different, but I really did like, I'm telling you, I really like that volume 1 a lot. And I think that when I sit down and read both the 1 and 2 again, well, I didn't even get to the 2, but I read the 1 again and read the 2. I think that it will probably become a book that I read every time it comes out. I really did like it. I
All
love
right.
Junie
I've
Baugh
not
is
read
great.
volume one, Jim, but I did read the first issue of this,
It
you know,
was, but
last month,
again,
and it was good. It's weird. It's a little bit goofy. It's like, you know, an anthology
mhm.
with games and, you know, lots of jokes in it, but it's Junie Barr and the art is
I
excellent.
like Junie Baugh a lot.
If
And
you like
one
his
one of
style,
the
yeah.
things though is I think that I might have talked to you, but I did talk to somebody about it when the first issue came out, and I kind of looked, and it's tough to review. I ended up where I was going to have Zach, who does the indie podcast with me. I was going to have him read it and we'd review it, but it's one of those weird things that a lot of the stuff is very visual. And so to talk about it, I hate when you end up having a review. It's like, and then they do this, and then they do that. And that's kind of what it would end up being because of how it's played. It's more of
Mm.
a book to read, it seems, than to review quite that way, especially on a podcast or something like that. But I did the first volume. I'll get you the first volume. It's good. It's pretty good, and it sets up more. And I ended up, as I said, I think I needed to read that because I wasn't quite understanding that first issue when it first came out. I didn't quite get everything. Like you said, it's goofy, it's fun, whatever, but there's more to it, and it's kind of a satire,
It's
all that
certainly
stuff going.
original, isn't it? It's very
Yeah.
original. It's pretty unique. It does feel like a proper like indie title, like
Yeah.
almost
Oh,
like that
yeah.
kind of thing, you know, small
Yeah.
press, but yeah,
And it was
excellent,
funny
excellent
because
art.
when Fear Monarch said, you should read it, and I was like, yeah, some people have mentioned that, whatever. And then he reminded me it was Junie Baugh, and I like Junie Baugh. And that Robin book I really, really like. So I like that art style. And it was weird, too, because I'm not a real big art guy. But when I did read that Robin at the beginning, it kind of threw me. But then by the end, I really, really liked the art, and I really liked that
The Boy
book. And
Wonder, yeah, that was a
man,
great
yeah, it was
miniseries, wasn't
really,
it?
really good.
Really
I
good.
really like that. So that might be. When did that end? Did it end the last year? I
It's
can't
quite a
remember.
while ago.
Yeah, it was. I was wondering why I didn't really put that. Maybe I did put it on one of the. I was on like a bunch of best of the years and stuff like
Best of
that.
the
But
years, yeah.
yeah, I was wondering. I don't remember putting that, but I did really like it. But that's it.
Jim, just a shout out in the chat, Fearmonic saying that if you got a physical copy of this, the Monkey Meat, it's being printed on newsprint, which is pretty
Oh,
awesome too.
yeah. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. So
Yeah.
I did like it. I did like it, and I suggest people checking it out, especially if you like Junie Baugh's art. But that's it. That is it for the show. Thank you for joining me, Gray. That is awesome. And before we go, I'm going to have you tell everybody where they can go and see, because you have your Daredevil Cold Day in Hell review up, and people can get more of an in-depth play of that. We reviewed it on the podcast. Anybody who liked it's going to get driven nuts by me in
I've
that
not heard
because
your
I was
review yet, and
just
I can't wait to hear it. I
yeah.
know. I don't care when people disagree or when someone doesn't like it. I just want to hear like reasons why. So I'm looking forward to it.
I don't know if you'll like it. At one point, I got so it's like, let's just end this. I ended up saying to Matt, I'm like, I feel like I'm just like, I want to end this, and we just ended it. It was not good.
The
I
question
just
is, did
didn't
you get
like it.
angry, Jim? Did
No,
you rant and
I
rave?
kind of did a bit, but I was just like, I kept saying, I don't get why we're getting this. I was so confused, but yeah, so you could hear that. I did actually just edit that part. I'm still editing the Marvel podcast because we had so many,
Okay,
we had so
gotcha.
many things. We also did the Ultimate X-Men, which obviously was not on the list, though I do like that. We did Spider-Boy, which is usually on the list when it comes out, but that was not this week. Me and you did All New Venom and the Fist of Khonshu, and then me and my man Sully ended up doing the Deadpool Kills the Universe once again, that deal. We also did a bit of the Marvel Rivals, but we were kind of going on and it wasn't, we were kind of talking about other things, so I'm probably going to leave that to the live stream with me and Sully going with that. But in the meantime, tell everybody where they can find you.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Well, if you're looking for a review of Daredevil Cold Day in Hell, yeah, check out Wakizashi's Tea House. I know, right? Crazy name. That's my channel. I don't talk about Wakizashi's or tea. Well, maybe a little
Maybe a
bit. I
little.
mainly review comics.
Yeah, maybe a little. And me and you have
Maybe
a
a
couple
little bit.
things that go up on there and the bunch of stuff that you
Yeah.
have. So it's cool because me and Gray on our Patreon, we do a Grant Morrison podcast where we go through a bunch of different series. Right now we're doing Animal Man. And then we also have the Usagi Yojimbo that you wanted to start, that we started that. And it's really, really fun. So
Oh
I
my
do
God,
like
Jim, that is making me so happy. Not just that
Yes.
we're reviewing it together, but that you're enjoying it. Because
Oh,
I know
yeah.
you have reviewed Usagi before, haven't you? You've kind of dipped
Yep.
in and out of
Yeah, a
it.
little
So
bit, but
to start from the beginning is a great idea.
Yep. And then also Fear Monarch says, unless it's Drunk Simon. When you have Drunk Simon who yells at us when we don't understand things. Great. The only time I ever heard him get angry. But in that, too, just to let everybody know here, please subscribe, like the video, all that stuff. But also tomorrow night, Monday night, I'll be doing my preview show. We'll get ready for the next week of comics. It'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The only reason I do that one a little bit later is because right before that I do the Marvel podcast, the beginnings of it with my man Matt, and we're going to end up talking about Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man #1. I have read it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
talked about it this morning a bit. Not any spoilers, but said I did read it. I think you probably liked it a little more than me. It does feel like it has more energy than a lot of the, Zeb Wells stuff and even the 8 Deaths, but I don't know. I'm worried still. I'm worried about Joe
Comparing it to
Kelly.
the 8 Deaths, though, it's like, oh my God,
Well,
even
comparing
if
it
it was
to
a
that,
silent issue with
yeah.
no Spider-Man, it'd be better than that.
Exactly. Yeah, all of a sudden, yeah, really. If he was sitting there eating tuna
Oh
fish
my
and eggs
God,
on
what
toast, it would
absolute
be better.
nonsense story.
That was so bad. Oh my God, that was so bad. So it
Anyway.
is better than that. It's just the idea of like Sad Sack Peter and what they're gonna do and whatnot. And I
Poor
can't
Peter Parker.
I can't get away from the fact that I think Joe Kelly really just wants to talk like the kids. It's always like that, hello, fellow kids, and it just feels like
Hey,
he's
actually, yeah,
he's
Jim, and
trying
just
too hard.
on that note, just a little bit of self-promotion. I did a live stream at a different time. For me, it was like late last night, so it was early morning today, and I talked about it. There's an interview with him, and he really is like, some of the things he's saying, you're like, oh my God, it's so, hey, fellow kids.
Is it? I'm telling you, I didn't even see the interview. I'm gonna have to watch the video and do this interview. I'm telling you, that's what I keep saying. So I'm right on.
He keeps going about, the most important thing is the humor. He wants to, bring back the humor to Spider-Man. I'm like saying that's all very well, but you've got to have a sense of humor and be able to tell jokes to make that work.
This is the problem. And again, not that this is part of the best stuff, but it'll be part of this now. The idea where he's good at, like, one of his better things is Deadpool. So when he says humor, it always ends up feeling to me like Deadpool, and that's not Spider-Man. That's Deadpool, and I think that he gets a little lost in that. And then hello, fellow kids, and it gets too much. But I'll tell you, the humor in this, there's a bit, but it's just some of the dialogue and some of the things. It's a first issue, so we'll see how it goes, but I don't know. I don't know. Some of the
art.
ideas.
Pepe Larraz's art is pretty cool.
It's weird. Doc hates Pepe Larraz. Can't stand it.
Yeah,
He said that deal. But in the meantime, Yeah, kind of the first, like, it does have this one kind of joke for the first about 10 pages with Peter trying to get a job. And that
I
kind of
did
did
feel
make
like it
me,
went on too
yeah, it
long.
went on way too long. And it was kind of making me roll my eyes. But it is dealing with old continuity and stuff like that. But it was kind of a weird play. But it's interesting enough. And it does feel like it has more oomph than the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man. It feels like it has some energy to it. Pepe Larraz's art has some energy to it. So we'll see. We'll see what everybody thinks. I'm sure that we'll both probably review it different places and whatnot. So he doesn't say Skinflint in it, which threw me off. But
I was
again,
looking for that. Yeah,
that would have been
disappointed.
great. That would have been so great. But yeah, go check out Gray's channel, especially now. Go check out that video too about Joe Kelly and also the Daredevil review because Gray really liked it. I don't know why, but he did. And then check out tomorrow where I go through
How dare
previews,
you.
which again, the preview show isn't the ones that, hey, I think this way. It's just the big books that I'm looking forward to. Spider-Man will be
Yeah.
mentioned on that as well because it's a Spider-Man #1, but some other stuff as well.
Also, Jim, we got Absolute Batman
Yep.
issue 7 out next week, so next Friday on Jim's
Yep,
channel.
and we'll be
Absolute
there doing
DC.
it, the Absolute Show, and we only have one, so we could actually relax a little. We don't have 2 books. I was
Wow.
actually shocked. It's just that one. I hope that Batman kicks more babies. It'd be
I do.
so great that he'd be kicking babies around. It is weird though because that was oh no, that wasn't. I forget what came out that week with. Was it Flash that came out with Absolute Batman the last time? Because we did end up talking about 2 books, I think, that week. But I don't know that means it's
It could have
falling
been, yeah.
behind.
I've kind of
Um,
lost track because there are a lot coming out now, aren't there? Flipping
Yeah.
heck.
And also there's next week there's a big book by Mark Miller. There's his Vatican City book that looks pretty cool.
Vatican
So
City.
we'll be going through all those. So check out that tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if people haven't realized, I'm doing a lot more just live shows than actual videos and recorded things. It's just easier to kind of come in and just talk and do things. When I have to plan things and whatever, it's a disaster for me. I can't keep up. So I hope people like these, though, and hopefully, Gray, you can join me on a bunch of things, but Absolute Batman we'll definitely be talking about on Friday. So thanks a lot, everybody. Thank you for joining me, Gray. We're going to go out with your song, one of your theme songs. So everybody, thanks, and we'll talk to you all later.
私はイギリスから日本に引っ越しました。感動して感謝しました。本当に大好きです。私は普通の男ではありません。私はもう本性の愛です。私にからかわないでください。そうしないとあなたは消えてしまいます。私は普通の男です。でも私はあなたを殺します。だからそのまま受け取ってください。足元に